Hello and welcome to Making Creativity Pay, the podcast where we talk to people in creative industries about how they promote and market their work. I'm Dan Barnett, and this episode I spoke with comedian Kate Hammer talking about her show Government Approved Comedian, which she's taken to the Edinburgh Fringe. We talk about what having to prove your value as a comedian to be able to stay in the country feels like, the Scottish comedy scene, getting funded via Brass Tax's comedy scheme with Blackfriars Comedy Club, and lots more. I started by asking Kate to give a brief introduction about herself.
Hi, my name is Kate Hammer. I am a Canadian comedian living in Glasgow, and I've been living there for 5.5 years. But I do a lot of improv, sketch. I work in TV and film. But this year I'm really focusing on stand-up as I'm making my debut at the Fringe.
So your show is Government Approved Comedian. I
Yeah.
don't know if you wanted to kind of talk a little bit about it and kind of why this year you decided to kind of, take the plunge.
Yes. So in 2023, I had to switch visas to the global talent visa. So, and I don't know if you know much about it. It's extremely intense and stressful, and it makes you question yourself because you have to prove that you are a good enough comedian to be globally valuable to the UK. And I'm not that important of a person. So, and I knew some other people actually, like I actually knew some comedians who had applied for that and gotten denied. And so then were deported. So it was very stressful, and a lot of people going, "No, oh my gosh, you'll be so fine." I was like, "No one knows. I don't know. The English Arts Council are looking at this, and I have no idea what they're looking for." So it was a very stressful time of my life. And you had to give a bunch of money, and then have 10 pieces of evidence of big performances, awards, and reviews, and then three important letters from very important people. So the show is kind of taking those three elements of the visa that I had to go do and bring it into the audience. So I take the audience, I choose one audience member to apply for a visa in order to stay in my audience. And I ask them about pieces of evidence of being a good audience member, and if they have three people who could vouch for them. And I mean, it takes up quite a small amount of time because there are a lot of jokes and bits that I'm doing. But the general framework is that because I was trying to think of how to talk about and make people understand how to go through a visa while also making it very funny. And just the stress of, people are like, "Oh, well, you'll get it." And you go, "No, I'm either going to get it or I receive a letter saying you have to leave the country in 2 weeks and I'm never coming back. Like, this is where my life is. Like, this is." So it was just a big buildup. So that's why it's called Government Approved Comedian. And it's this year because, well, I started doing comedy in the UK in 2022 because Glasgow was held back quite a bit. They didn't trust us after COVID not to just drink outside, which was quite correct of them. And so I started in 2022, and yeah, have built my way, I guess, up and around in the Scottish comedy scene. And then last year, Stuart Laws cast me in his show called Stuck. So it was a comedy play that he wrote, and I play four puffins in that show, and it was the highlight of my career so far. But meeting him and doing that show, and I knew I wanted to kind of debut in the next little bit, but it was just perfect timing because he's such an amazing director and comedian. So I was so nervous and I asked him to be my director, and he said yes. So I was like, "We're doing it," and then I was offered some funding through Blackfriars, which is a comedy club in Glasgow. So it all just kind of came together, which was amazing. But it doesn't mean that I'm not still extremely nervous. And my gosh, you could always wait another year, couldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, interesting you mentioning Stuart there because I think he's got a similar thing to you, but with America. He's a alien of extreme.
Extraordinary ability,
Yeah,
which is such a better title. If he does Stuart Law's Alien of Extraordinary Ability, that so much better.
yeah. And the thing with the Blackfriars was that through Brass Tax.
So yeah, it was basically last year was the first year Brass Tacks worked with Red Bull to give funding. And they couldn't kind of quite decide who to give it to. So there's, the runner up, I guess, or who Blackfriars really wanted to fund was Jack Trainer. So then they created their own fund last year. Um, and so this year they offered that to me. So yeah, it was very very excited to get that because otherwise, even though I live in Glasgow, the Fringe is still extremely inaccessible if you want to be able to get posters and marketing and just any bit of help. So that's been extremely amazing. They're a great club.
Yeah, definitely. So yes, your show's starting on the 3rd. I had a look, and you've got the 19th off, so you're doing
Yeah.
27 nights, one day off. Um, are you confident with that decision?
Wow, I hadn't thought about it like that, had I? Wow. You really framed it well there. Um, I'm so used to it. I mean, I kind of in a recent Q&A I said like I've been putting myself into burnout for the last 3 years, that this is just like my stasis now. There are rarely days that I'm not gigging or doing something. And I think that's, the mix of the freelance and the immigrant life of I can't get any public funding on this visa. So it makes me really that mixed with the fact that I need to still prove that I'm making money off comedy in order to keep my visa valid. So it makes me not want to ever turn down a gig, which means I'm gigging all the time in a very unhealthy work-life balance. So I'm hoping that the Fringe kind of validates that lifestyle of going, oh my gosh, I'm just gigging every day. And and I will be staying across in Edinburgh, which will make a massive difference. I have a friend that I'm renting a room from, and I just think that energy of taking the train back and forth will be then being able to be spent on the show and on me. So I'm actually not worried about it. I know there'll probably be a day that I'm just in a rotten little mood, but I'm pretty good at working through that. So yeah, talk to me in September, but I am leaving like the day after, I think it's September 1st or 2nd, because I'm going back to Canada because I was asked to MC my cousin's wedding back in Canada. And I was like, look, I don't know what kind of Kate you guys will be getting the first weekend of September, but yeah, I'll be there. So it'll also be quite a quick turnaround from the Fringe to visiting back home. So hopefully that's a good kind of like separation and then relaxing tactic for my brain.
That's a decompression and just
Yeah.
get through it. Yeah, fantastic. So your show's on at 5 o'clock in Monkey Barrel.
Yes.
In terms of time and venue, were they kind of you thought, yeah, that's a nice time for kind of when I want to do
Mhm.
my show?
I mean, in terms of venue, this is my dream venue. Like Monkey Barrel's my comedy place. I love it so much. So I'm so excited to be with Monkey Barrel this year. In terms of the time, I feel like there's no right or wrong time anymore these days because even if you're like early, like 11 a.m. or noon, there's people who are just really happy that there's good comedy happening at that time and that they can still, check people off their list while they're doing their Fringe day. Because I think so many things are concentrated more around 7 to 9 p.m. usual comedy times. So any other timing is pretty exciting. So I mean, everyone I tell says that's a very good time. That's a good time. And you're like, yeah, thank you so much. I think it is a good time. But I've never heard someone say that's not a good time to anyone. So I think the Fringe is just such, odd rules that there is no bad time. But I do think 5 p.m. it's a pretty good time because it kind of
Yeah,
brings people from that daytime comedy, into the crazy night stuff, which is kind of my vibe anyway.
yeah. And in terms then of promoting it during the day, do you have a kind of plan already that you're going to fly her from 2 till 4, and then get to the venue, or you're going to just do everything after the show for the next day, or just kind of see how it goes?
That's a great question. Brass Tacks they are getting together a team of flyers for all their shows. So I'll have some help with flyering, luckily. Um, but yeah, definitely flyering a bit on the day. And it's nice that you have some hours before you can hopefully catch some people going in and out of nearby shows at Monkey Barrel. And then I am such a fool that I have signed up for a bunch of other shows as well to do spots. So I will probably right after my show be running to other shows to do. Because yeah, I think one of the best ways to get your show marketing across to other people during the Fringe is to be on other shows. And I think in past years, that's when I've seen someone at that show I did come to my show the next day, and you get to actually like see the results of they like you as a comedian, so they're going to come check you out. So yeah, lots of spots as well. I've tried to keep a good balance on it because I know that is also where I lose a lot of energy, is running around from gig to gig, and then you can never see a show because you're like, oh no, I have two spots in between, and it works out so imperfectly. So I'm going to try and see a lot of shows this year as well. But I guess my focus should be more on marketing, but I'm just hoping I'm having positive thoughts about it at this point.
Yeah. So one thing I rarely talk to people who are doing shows at Monkey Barrel is that the ticket prices are generally quite low. But then there's often a bucket speech as well. I mean, how are you with things like that?
I'm used to it because I've done many, like, week-long runs at the Free Fringe in years past. So I'm definitely am used to that vibe. I am hoping to work out a donation for my bucket to a place called Refugi. I'm just waiting for a response from them. Um, because my show has to deal with immigration, but I am, even though it was difficult for me, it's obviously so much harder for people in different situations coming from different countries. So I wanted to help that and help a great organization called Refugi in Glasgow that I've done gigs for before as well. So it'll be easier to do the bucket speech because it won't be for me. It'll be for another place and people who need it much more. So that I think makes it a bit easier. And I wanted something that ties into the show that isn't just about woe is me. This was hard. It was, but like I also think the world is such a crazy place right now that it would make me feel great knowing that I was doing, something to pass things forward.
Yeah. And so for other things for promoting the show, so posters and all that kind of stuff, is that all in hand? Because I know one previous guest described it as a shit show, everything that was happening with posters.
I know. I mean, I'm kind of one removed. Katie from Brass Tacks has been telling me all about it. But it seems like a mess. It seems very confusing, but we've gotten them done. So I don't know the details of it, but I know it was very stressful and I mean, just odd to split it up in this way with two companies and different deadlines and it feels I don't even know. I was gonna say feels like more room for corruption. That's based on nothing. I have nothing. I have no idea.
Um, and in terms of the process of kind of getting a poster done and design and all that kind of stuff, I mean, did you enjoy that part? Because it's completely different to kind of the normal creative bits, but it's obviously still very, very creative.
Yeah, I love collaborating, so I love sending, like I sent the designer kind of some general thoughts and, the information that needed to be on it, but was really open to what he wanted to create because I think if you trust the designer and like what they've done before, like they can come up with something great. And I do think that's what happened. Um, but it's such a hard, stressful time because you're like, wow, this is the one poster. Gosh, what should it be? And there's always the pull to wanting to go simple. Is it just me, one color, me sitting in front, very classic, or which has become very classic and very popular. Um, but is that so popular that then it doesn't stand out because there's so many like that? And trying to, you can really overthink what your poster is going to be for this year. And especially for a debut, I'm like, overthinking it, but I'm very, very happy with how it turned out and very excited for the flyers to come out as well. So yeah.
Yeah, it's always difficult. Yes, like you said, this classic things, but then there's always cliches. You always get comedians kind of scratching their head or kind of looking confused
Yeah.
as a kind of standard trope and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, I guess these kind of things work for a reason, but then they get to a point where they almost can become a
You
cliche.
also want it to say something about your show as well, like almost have intrigue people or have an inner, an inside joke for people who do see the show or something like that. And then you go, oh my gosh, this is, what you need. Most of all, you need something clear for people if when they walk by that they can get what the show is, or just my show has a little tagline on it. My poster says, she'll make you laugh or get deported trying. And it's like, okay, people can maybe, oh, okay, I see what this maybe show is aiming about. And I mean, I'm hoping that I get no reform voters in my audience, but we'll see.
And so the other area. So you've kind of got leafleting, flyering, posters, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, how important is reviews and kind of getting reviewers in, and ideally early,
Yeah.
going to be to the whole thing?
Well, that's why I'm starting on the third because it allows for like I think we're letting reviewers in on the fourth or fifth. I can't remember what we decided, but it allows for a run through that you can feel safe with. That you're like, okay, I'm putting it together in the room, in the space, at the time, like everything, um, before you let people in. But at the same time, that's it. The Fringe is so many shows that you need to get reviewed early in order to for the reviewer to possibly have time for you. So yeah, it's that cruel mix of going, well, I want the show to be as best as it can be, but also I need to get reviewers in ASAP. Um, and yeah, it's interesting how important of an aspect it is to doing a show is getting a ton of reviews and getting them out ASAP. But reviews also terrify me because I don't know if I'm gonna want to read them. And sometimes, it's even with like, shows in the past that weren't mine. They have a low star, but you read them and they loved the show and da 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 da. And there's so many quotes you're going to be able to use from it. Or sometimes you get, a 4 or 5 star and you read it and you go, I'm not even sure they were in the audience. Like this is, or some of the things they're saying. So it can be such a fickle process. And most of the advice I've gotten is don't read the reviews. And it's hard because on social media, people will tag you in the reviews now as they
Mm.
post it. So it's kind of impossible not to. But he's like, the advice I've gotten is you can look at the stars, but because you won't be able to avoid that. But don't read anything. You don't want it to affect how you're doing the show until after the Fringe. Then sure, you can
Yeah.
read it and go over it.
And then the other element of promotion is online. I mean, how have you, do you think, because obviously, word of mouth is so important. We're talking about reviews. Can online still have a place? Do you think it can be important?
100%. I think it's frustrating to me how important it is because I don't have a desire to make videos and post them online. I don't want to do it by myself. I want to make people laugh. That's why I'm a I love the interaction. I love the collaboration. I love making, finding out bits of the audience and then being able to make jokes that only work on that night with that group of people. Like there's something very special about that to me. Every that you can do that every single time. You can make it feel special every single time. So online stuff is not something that it's something I have to really overcome a lot of like to do. So, and I'm sorry that I don't know what word is, but I think everyone will understand that feeling. So, yeah, it's a stressful one because you have to be online now more than ever. But the type of content and the quality of content and the how often you're posting, it has to be all three. And that is so overwhelmingly stressful when you're someone who gigs almost every day, but also has other work going on. I find it a bit much. But yeah, I mean, online audiences, I think it's a mix. They do show up. At the same time, I think I also know people who have massive numbers online, but that might be more international. So they
Yeah.
might not show up here. So it's a strange mix. It's a strange mix of having numbers, but I do need to be more online. That's not what you asked, but I know it. I feel it in your voice.
Yeah, definitely. And so yes, you're saying you've been doing other shows. You're part of Pure Leo's show as well,
Yes.
with a number of other Scottish-based comedians.
Yeah.
Are you looking for don't know if you want to talk briefly about that and kind of what you're going to do with your 20 minutes within it. Is it kind of, you taking a sample of your show, or is it completely separate?
I'll do a bit of both. So I think we're also taking turns hosting. So those will be my fun days that I can go back to hosting and emceeing, get to knowing the audience. But for the 20 minutes, it'll be a little bit of more club material, maybe some crowd work, and then do, you know, maybe 10 minutes chunk of my show or stuff from the show, because you do want to say to people, if you like these bits, this is what the rest of the tone is like. So but you don't want it to be the full 20 minutes and then people come and they only get 40 new minutes of a new show. So yeah, maybe 10 minutes max of stuff from the show, enough to make them wanna come see more 2 hours later.
Yeah. And so, yes, there's probably tons of other stuff we could talk about, breaking the news, get your goat, all that kind of stuff. I mean, what do you kind of think of the comedy scene in Scotland? Because it seems like a really nice atmosphere, and people pushing the same way instead of against each other. I mean, have you found it like that?
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I mean, obviously, there are going to be some not so great people and things that happen, as in, every scene, no matter what industry you're in. But especially coming from the Canadian scene, excuse me, coming from the Canadian scene over here, it was an amazing kind of experience for me, because the level of comedy, the type of comedy, how welcoming people were to absurd storytelling, silly. A lot of pressure I got in Montreal was, oh, that's more storytelling, that's not comedy. And I was like, you're allowed to have a story in a bit. That's the comedy I watch and that I love. Um, and so coming here was just so validating. And yeah, people were extremely supportive and kind. And I think we all want each other to do so well. Because we know that the rest of the UK we don't get awarded things. We don't get, these accolades. And I think it's so important that we at least help each other continue to make amazing comedy. Because I do think the level of comedy up here is incredible. And there's just like really nice people who really put their actions where their heart is. I mean, Roscoe McClelland, I love him as a comedian. I think he's hilarious. And then he's also recommended me on the Scottish Comedy Forum and recommended me to certain clubs, and definitely helped me move up in a way and be seen as a comedian to take seriously. So it's really nice to know that, like, yeah, these comedians that you love and think are so funny are also doing the work behind the scenes to make this a really great community to be in.
Yeah, yeah. And so you've got a number of work in progress, including one down in London.
Yes.
Is the aim of that to kind of try and find different audiences? Because I guess, if you just gig where you gig normally, you'll have people who know you and it's a certain style and they'll expect it. Is going down to London to try and find a different audience and kind of run the show through people, where you maybe not as many people know you, if you know what I mean?
Exactly. I think you need to test in different places, because even in general for club comedians, it'll be, oh, the London audience is so different from this audience, and the Glasgow versus Edinburgh audience is completely different. I do think I have, a slight advantage being international, so I already know how to, explain myself to a non-local audience. But that's absolutely it. It's to test the show in different areas and make sure, like, is this actually going to land to everyone who sees it? But also as a way for me to, as a comedian, go and gig in more other places and hopefully build some new fans and if people come see me in advance. So yeah, a little bit of both for sure.
Thanks to Kate for coming onto the podcast. You can find out more details in the show notes about where to find Kate, both online and at the Fringe. If you enjoyed this, check out our other episodes of variety comedians, musicians, authors and others in creative industries talking about trying to make creativity pay. Thanks for listening.